So there is a lot of thinking that you have to do. Therefore, I am saying it is not merely list of reading. It is not just arrangement of copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, one after the other forming a quilt. It is weaving them into a logically coherent piece of argument or literature. Your literature review has the potential to become an article of historical analysis of the concept. So think of how literature review can become a publication adding to your research career or to your academic profile. That's why it's very important. Second is, it is not just list, it should discuss what they say, what you say. What you say could be looking at its inadequacy, looking at its relevance, simply describing it, what it contains, but keeping your journey through the concept as a reminder constantly, and that is the one which is reflected. I hope I am making sense. Yeah. Then you should use the relevant and the most important. There is 100 things written about your concept, but always have the discretion and objectivity and a very strong analytical mind to evaluate the literature that you come across. So it's a citation factor, is it recent, is it in any of the refereed journals. So my suggestion, at least your literature should contain something as recent as 2014 December. At least, I mean maximum. The minimum is something from 2014, because in 1 year knowledge would have travelled so much with the modern gadgets. So please see that it reflects at least 2014. How many of you have some literature or the other which has 2014? How many of you do not have anything from 2014? Yeah. Is there a reason? Unless it is a treaty, unless it is a purely historical study. Suppose I am studying P.V. Kane's Dharma Shastra as an expression of justice jurisprudence, Indian jurisprudence. I will find it very difficult to have anything beyond that volume when it was published during the British days. I can only talk about what Derrett or some other scholar has said about that source, or now Rama Joyce, in how many judgments he has incorporated it. I can talk about that with the latest literature. But what I am quoting from that is always going to be limited by time. So unless there is such limitation, what is the limitation for not having recent data?
There are very few articles of my topic.
What is your topic?
International Criminal Court, the need for universal jurisdiction. All the authors were discussed when the ICC was established. That is in the year 1998. Till 2006, there were many discussions on that. After that, there are very few literature on this.
But you know, if you were to take that limitation which is self-created, why I say self, because you are looking at it with a search narrowed down to your title. International Criminal Court as an example of universal jurisdiction. But why don't you broaden it by reverse engineering? Looking at international criminal courts, anyway International Criminal Court is not a permanent court, it is ad hoc. It is created each time there is a need for. But it is not permanent. You just study it. It is created under Rome Statute, but it doesn't have a headquarters. Each time there is a war or there is a need to create a court, it is created. You look at why do we call it as International Criminal Court in Yugoslavia, ICC? Why? ICC, Rwanda.
Initially it was like that. There were courts like ICTR, International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda. Then it was ICTR. After looking at the working of these courts, the international community felt the need for a permanent.
It did, but
Based on that, this court was
it is, but in functioning it is not like that. So you have to take a reverse engineered view that you don't go by universal jurisdiction as in the institutionalized court. Please go through it. You will know. I mean, what I am saying is right, because the conceptual understanding that you have has, like how we say, the Austinian clouds in our mind. Austinian cloud is always looking at sanction, municipal model of court. Get out of that, look at it as an international court, and then you start looking out for articles which might be dealing with Cambodia, which might be dealing with other instances of international criminal law coming into picture, and then you will get more literature. So one of the ideas to debate would be the universality itself. How the idea of universality, I want to tell you, that when you are investigating into concepts, don't move within the perimeters of the concept itself. There is an idea called Archimedean space. Have I told you any time? What is this Archimedean space? Who is this Archimedes? Archimedes is this guy who discovered the lever principle. You know about him, the Eureka story. So he made a statement that give me a few inches of space outside the gravitational force of the earth, I will lever the earth. So your job in review is to lever your concept. You have to go outside the temptation of keeping your feet inside the concept. What is that outside, beyond the gravitational force of the earth, the Archimedean space? That space could be in clinically distancing yourself from the concept. So when you say universal jurisdiction, you are having the universality concept as if it is the concept of permanent court of arbitration and justice, or concept of international court of justice, or the municipal supreme court or high court. No. This is like an ad hoc system which is created whenever there is a need for that, and the court here is it only a conceptualization. And there when you are looking at universal jurisdiction, is that universal jurisdiction governing the whole earth in terms of freezing of time in a temporal context, or is it in a subjective context? So you have to take concepts, and there is lot of scholarly article on that. So now you rework on your search and then you start looking at it. You will definitely find lot of literature on questioning the assumptions. So in each of the topic there will be a particular assumption based on which that concept has come about. So when you do the literature review, if your literature is not good enough to challenge those assumptions, stretch those assumptions, establish new ideas behind them, critique those assumptions, then your literature review is not enough. That's why you don't get recent literature, because you are going in a very linear fashion. So you need to reverse engineer your concept to make it, break it down, it is anatomy, and then you clinically look into that concept. That is a scientific investigation. For that you have to distance from the concept and start reading everything about it as well, not only on it but about it. I hope I am making myself clear. Do you think then that will make your literature review rich? Yes. Some other student who found recent literature problematic, we discussed anyway. Yeah, anybody else? Yeah. So when you find it that the recent literature is only about this, then probably you will have to shift your focus, not being in terms of current investigation, but maybe a descriptive evaluative investigation. Because if you want to do an analytical one into reform, law reform, see, you may have to make your investigation not to establish an inadequacy or absence of law. You may have to look at your research contributing as the final outcome in terms of a different way of looking at that law. So your research also has to be tailor made from that angle, if you are finding it very difficult to look at contemporary aspects of that. Am I clear? Yeah. So you will have to change your title or alter your title, keep the same core concept. Some of our students, I have suggested how they could alter or tweak their title. Many students submitted the old title itself. That's another problem. Even after literature review, if you still feel that your title should be the same, that means there is something wrong. Even after discussion, maybe your literature review should be very finely done in view of the discussion that has been did. Now, I also told you that relevant and most important, identify useful sources, organize information, identify issues, controversies, different views, arrange discussion in logical and coherent manner. Inverse pyramid, people begin with dictionary meaning of the first part of the concept, and then they also connect, as Suman did there. How did she do? Inverse pyramid. She started with surrogacy, she started with talking about medical practice itself. I mean, from medical practice she located surrogacy, from there different ways of surrogacy, then she connected the different ways of law, then she linked the two different puzzles, pieces of puzzle, she linked the two, and then she showed how there is inadequacy. So this is how your literature review should look like. What do we mean by inverse pyramid? From general to the specific. Okay. So when you are talking about universal jurisdiction and international criminal court, you are not just dwelling on simply literature which is directly dealing with them, establish the history and working of the criminal code till today, and is it really a code or is it only a sitting, is it only a response, is the code really a virtual idea, and then establish the idea of universal jurisdiction, which has been there from the time of piracy, iure gentium, from slaves and other expressions, and how jurisdiction has been assumed there. Forget you worked in a municipal court context or your law degree had given you that kind of views. It is called unlearning. So, when you approach any literature, first you have to begin with a clean slate, as if you do not allow it to be governed by or colored by your assumptions and your biases. For a researcher, shedding those biases and becoming unbiased and scientific and objective becomes the first need. That is why we use the word Archimedean space. I hope it is clear now, the expression. Now, how does a literature review look like? I told you already, identify issues or the problem, give the context. I read Suman's and I said how she has located surrogacy within the medical practice and the problem with that and its context. Show your reasons for reviewing and then explain the type of literature, why some are selected and some are not. That also you have to say, like you were saying that there was, or this maritime law you were talking about, why it has become different now. Then the main body, arrange in various parts and subheads. A broad concept, that is what I told you. You have all your literature stored in one folder, just start seeing the relationship, start arranging them in general to specific, and then you will get heads and subheads. Explain and analyze, compare and show the similarities and differences, the general picture about how it prepares you for the study. Means what are the gaps, what are the highlights, what is the need for a new study. You do not say you are going to study, and then you say that this study, proposed study, is going to address precisely this gap. So, that you will be saying, and finally you will be summarizing the major contributions from the first two parts of the literature, and you will be pointing out inadequacies, you will be pointing out gaps, you will be pointing out conflicts, you will be pointing out any other kind of variation, and then justify based on the current knowledge the need for a study and its expected outcome. I hope it is clear now, yeah, to all of you, right. And then you, once you do that, you look at your literature review, see your checklist, the 5 points which I gave you, you look at sample reviews I will be circulating, and then how do you plan to improve your own and what are the improvements that you are going to do, okay, and submit to your guide after these improvements are done. I thought instead of blaming our students for not submitting an adequate literature review, it will be better to discuss it in a group and then arrive at areas for improvement. Now, do not be too, what you say, worked up about sharing it in a group. If you, maybe guide wise you can sit and you can do, or topic wise or core area wise we can sit and do. So, do we have that kind of time? What is your next engagement? You have a class? Who all have a class? Okay, some of you have a class right now? You have a Viva, investment law Viva. Yeah, so rest. Yeah. What is the title of the topic? Okay, forced disappearance.
So, till now, even my guide and me, we didn't find any literature for any book on that. All my literature is get online based literature. So, that's how I'm working on it. I don't know what's on it. If you've been looking for books, you can find even articles on Boko Haram actions, activities in Nigeria.
See, forced disappearance has been dealt in the context of human trafficking in the past by international criminal law. The disappearance per se and disappearance forced in the war context and non-war context have been looked into. But then human trafficking as a topic of study under Rome Statute has been recently investigated, of course with the police experience, Interpol and other things. So, you may have to derive your some base from there and then develop a jurisprudence for treating this under the International Criminal Code and discussing the liabilities of whoever who is in administration, the remedies means the compensation, who should be punished for this, and the let the focus be, one is on the problem you will be narrating. So let the literature review go in terms of kidnapping or hostage taking. So you will have to search in other areas and create a logical, we call it as analogical deduction, logically similar situations, and how the law has reacted to this in transnational context and intranational context. Within the country, if someone is forcefully disappearing and you know who is causing this disappearance, how the criminal law has dealt with it. Internationally, if you know that somebody has kidnapped a score of people from one area and abducted them to another area, how the law has treated it, and drawing that logic further to such areas, because you didn't find any such